Good morning, student. So let's move ahead with Introduction to Software Engineering Session 2. I am Dr. Alifia Jakida, Coordinator and Assistant Professor of BBCA Department. So in this topic, we are going to cover the Mccalls quality factor, where quality factor is needed, what is the Mccall quality factor, which other people have stated the quality factors that we are going to see today. So what is a quality factor? Basically, it is a factor which is going to influence the software, and it is termed as software factors. They are basically divided into two categories. The first category says that the factors is of those that can be measured directly, such as number of logical errors, which can be measured. The second factor is where it cannot be measured directly, it can be measured indirectly. For example, maintainability, but each of the factors is to be measured to check for the content and the quality control. The classic model of software quality, it was suggested by different people, different researchers. Mccall, it consists of 11 factors in 1977, he said. Dush and Willis said that there are 12 to 15 factors, and it was basically stated in 1988. Evans and Marcinnik said in 1987. So let's see what is a software quality factor model. If you see this quality factor, it is divided into three parts. The Mccalls quality factor is divided into three sections. The first is product operation factor, next is product revision factor, and the third is product transition factor. We'll be seeing in details. This is the Mccalls model tree, which is taken by from the textbook. It is quality software. Again, if you see, I said that it is divided into different sections. If I see product transition, it can be probability, reusability, and interoperability. Product operation is correctness, reliability, efficiency, integrity, and usability. The third section is product revision, where it is maintainability, flexibility, and testability. Now let's see Mccalls quality factor. It is going to be classified into 11 quality factors, and they're grouped into three categories. When I talk about product operation factor, it has different factors or categories. First is correctness, reliability, efficiency, integrity, and usability. The next is product revision is maintainability, flexibility, and testability. Product transition will have probability, reusability, and interoperability. Now what does product operation factor means? How well does it run and ease of use? So we are going to see all these factors which are clubbed together under the term called as product operation factors. Let's go ahead. Correctness. Output specifications are usually multi-dimensional. Some common dimensions are: first is output mission. That means I want my invoice to be printed. I want the alarm should go red when the temperature rises to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Required accuracy of those outputs which can affect my calculations directly or indirectly. Third, completeness of output information, which can get affected by the incomplete data. Up-to-dateness of the information, it is defined as the time between the event and it is consideration by the software system. The last is availability of the information. The reaction time, defined as the time needed to obtain the requested information or as the requested reaction time. If your time is more, then your software is not at all useful. So these are the factors of correctness. Let's talk about correctness example. Membership information is there. What is the output mission? It should list 11 reports, 4 standard letters, and 3 interactive queries. The accuracy should be more of accurate. Less than 1% degree should be your chances of errors. Completeness, probability of missing data about the member attendance and payment should be less than 1%. Up-to-dateness means it should not be more than 2 days for information about event participation to be valid. Availability, reaction time to queries should be less than 2 seconds, and for report it should be less than 4 hours. Now reliability, it is the requirement deal where failures to provide services, they will determine the maximum allowed system failure rates. Okay, for example, you want to log into it and you fail your login attempts, you get 3 attempts. Okay, so that is called as maximum time your failure rates is allowed, and can refer to the entire system or one of its function. For example, failure frequency of heart monitoring unit will operate in hospital intensive care unit is required to be less than 1 in 20 years. If I have failure frequency more in heart monitoring, then imagine how the patient will survive. We won't be able to detect the heart attack. Okay, then what will happen? The failure rate, or it should be less than 1 per million cases. It cannot be more than that, because if your failure rates are high, then the risk is also high. The next is efficiency. This is the requirement where we deal with hardware resources. It needed to perform all the functions of the software system in conformance to all other requirements. Example: processing power, storage capacity, data communication capabilities, and communication becomes very slow. Integrity. Integrity means it will deal with software system security, that is the requirement to prevent unauthorized access. Okay, GIS software does not allow citizens to access to its GIS through internet only for viewing and copying data, but not to insert changes. You cannot change your map. You can only view and copy your data. Usability. Here the usability requirement will deal with the scope of staff needed to train a new employee and to operate the software system. Training the new employee will not take more than 2 days, immediately at the end of which the trainee will be able to handle 45 service call a day. That is usability. The next section is product revision factors. Here it is divided into 3: maintainability, flexibility, and testability. It says the question: can I fix it easily, retest it, version it is, or deploy it easily? So next is product revision software quality. It will basically deal with those requirements that can affect the complete range of software maintenance activity. The first is corrective maintenance. Okay, here correction of software faults and failures are done. Next is adaptive maintenance. You adapt to the current software to additional circumstances and customers without changing the software. Next is perfective maintenance, enhancement and improvement of your existing software with respect to locally limited issues. The 3 quality comprises of product revision categories are: first is maintainability. Maintainability requirement determines the efforts that will be needed by the users and maintenance personnel to identify the reason for software failures. Then they are going to correct the failures, verify the success and correction. These requirements refer to first the modular structure of software, the internal program documentation, and the programmer's manual. Example: the size of software module will not exceed 30 statements. The programmer will adhere to the company coding standards and guidelines. Whenever a particular student gets a job in a company, he has to appear for an induction. In the induction, the HR will identify, will give you all the details about the coding standards and the guidelines. So the programmer have to adhere to the company policies. Flexibility. The capabilities and the effort required to support adaptive maintenance is covered by flexibility requirement. Okay, this is going to support the perfective maintenance activities such as change and addition to the software in order to improve its service and adapt it to the changes in technical or commercial world. For example, teacher support software, calculation of final grades and pupil achievement. The software specification of TSS will include following thing. First, it should be suitable for all the teachers of all subject and all college levels. Non-professionals should be able to create new types of reports according to the school teacher's requirement. Okay, so non-professionals should also understand how to report for the school teacher. Next is testability. Here the requirement will deal with testing of information system as well as with its operation. Okay, testability requirements for the ease of testing is related to the special features in the program which is going to be helpful to the tester. For instance, providing the predefined immediate result and log files. Example, an industrialized computerized control unit is programmed to calculate various measures of production status, report the performance, level of the machinery and operate a warning signal in predefined situations. Next is product transition factor. Here again it is divided into portability, reusability and interoperability. Can I, now you need to ask the question, can I move the app to different hardware? Interface easily with different hardware and software system? Can I reuse my major portion of the code with little modification and to develop the new app? Product transition software quality factor deals with the adaptation of software to other environment and its interaction with the other software system. First is portability. Portability means how far you can move your software from one place to another. It is requirement, it tends to adaptation of software system to other environments, okay, consisting of different hardware, different software, operating system and so forth. It will make it possible to use the software in different software and hardware simultaneously. Example, a software package is designed and programmed to operate on Windows 7 environment. It is required to allow low cost transfer to Linux and Windows NT environment as well. Next is reusability. Here the requirement deal with the use of software modules originally and it is designed for one project in new software project currently being developed. The reuse of the software is expected to save development resources, shorten the development period and provide higher quality modules. This is going to benefit the assumption that most of the software faults have already been detected and solved. Interoperability. Here the requirement focuses on creating interfaces with other software system or other equipment firmware. Interoperability requirement can specify the name of the software or firmware for which interface is required. They can also specify the output structure accepted as standard in specific industry or application area. Example, the firmware of medical laboratory equipment is required to process its result according to a standard data structure that can the server has input for number of standard laboratory and information system. Alternative models of software quality factors are first two factor models appearing during late 1988 considered to be alternative to Mccalls classic factor model. The first is Evans and Marcinic, that is a factor model in 1987, and they said that there are 12 factors that are classified into three categories. The next is Deutsch and Willis, that factor model is 1988 and it is divided into four categories basically, but totally 5 new factors were suggested. Okay, so in Deutsch and Willis more factors were suggested. Okay, Evans and Marcinic offers two new ones, verifiability and expandability, and Deutsch and Willis offers three new ones, safety, manageability and survivability. Okay, so formal comparisons of the factor models has already been revealed. Mccalls 11 factors, Evans and Marcinic 12, Deutsch and Willis is 15 factors. Okay. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any doubts, you can write down into the comments or you can come down to the department for solving your doubts. Do like and share and subscribe my videos. Thank you so much.